Hell's Paradise Jigokuraku is a title that went completely under my radar despite being so recent to the manga scene. I only actually discovered it because a friend showed me a trailer of its recently announced anime adaptation. However, because it's a samurai series, and I'm like a sucker for those, and I have no patience, I decided to read the manga. And if you can't already tell by me even posting this video, then yeah, I really enjoyed it. This will be a shorter video because I don't want to go into spoilers, especially because this series is bound to be discovered by a lot more people as the anime approaches and eventually airs. So some of what I say may sound a little vague, but it's only because I can't explicitly say what happened and who it happened to. But I'll do my best. This series loudly exclaims its theme from just reading its title for the first time. Jigoku is the Japanese mythological equivalent of hell, and Gokuraku is basically the heavens. Put those together and you get a hell paradise, hence the English translation Hell's Paradise. Although this is technically a shonen series, mangaka Yuji Kaku is not afraid to really show the ugliness of the world, particularly the 18th century world. We see very clearly the hell that the world is. It's everywhere. Class-based and gender-based social stratification, colonialist genocide, mass executions and desensitization to death and suffering. Even the fictional island, where the majority of the series takes place, there's actually very little about that island besides maybe its looks that screams heavenly. It's full of monsters who turn people into more monsters, and it's run by a society of psychopathic immortals. You see all the messed up things portrayed in the series, and you might get to wondering, where the hell is the heavenly part? All you see is the destruction and the dread. Now, both in this series and in real life, when you look at things from a macro perspective, the world really does seem like hell on Earth, in more ways than one. However, you tend to find heavenly things more when you zoom in. You won't find it in any one nation, under any one ruler, or under any one idea or way of life. The only way we truly find the heavenly is through each other. We may die alone, but we live among men. We often find that in our real world, within the hellish blender containing things like nationalism, racism, sexism, war, misinformation, environmental degradation, etc., most people find comfort in the little things, the seemingly trivial relations they make along the way. One of the few constants of human existence is that we are social beings. We are incapable of being alone. Not for a long time, anyway. It is there that most people find the will to go on, despite knowing how truly terrifying the world actually is. That is the heaven that Jigokuraku focuses on, the heavenliness of love. Now, when we think of the word love, most people only tend to think of it in the romantic sense, but romantic love is only one piece of the puzzle. Love encompasses not just romantic feelings for another person, but also the capacity to accept and embrace everything around you, to love your existence and the existence of others, despite the world's many flaws. Jigokuraku covers not only romantic love, which drives some characters in the series, but familial love, as characters who have been through intense traumas have only their biological families to depend on. Even outside the biological family, even the love of strangers. And Jigokuraku doesn't just tell us that we should be nice to people, but that simply being open-minded and willing to let someone into your life can change everything. Anyone can learn from anyone. Anyone can have their life improved or their outlook cleared. Romantic love turns some characters from savage killing machines into something resembling a vulnerable human, just by smiling and staying positive. Sibling characters keep each other in check and support each other through difficult times. Convicted criminals befriend the samurai assigned to guard them, perhaps realizing they actually had more in common than they thought. More than one character is a victim of the Japanese colonial machine, part of the many indigenous groups that the Tokugawa and later Japanese Empire either destroyed or forcefully assimilated. Yet they meet samurai who inspire them to keep on living, who not only tolerate their race, but encourage them to embrace it and not to lose themselves in the self-hatred and dread that the world around them has surely instilled. Female characters gain the respect of male colleagues that otherwise viewed them as lesser, just by being unafraid of expressing themselves. Now, these instances you see in the manga may not change the larger society of the world that they live in, but by opening their hearts and minds to each other, a dozen or so disconnected, disgruntled people with little in common suddenly found themselves to have love for people vastly different than themselves in more ways than one. Ideally, they take those experiences into their later lives, and even by a fraction of a percent, the world they live in may be improved. Perhaps the greatest takeaway from this series that I gained is that the world is indeed hell, but heaven resides inside all of us. We just need to allow ourselves to find it. Thank you for watching.